Chase Thomas podcast. My nephew needs me to record. See, I already hate it. I hate it.
All right, hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Chase Thomas podcast from still the aforementioned Chase Thomas, coming to you live from Knoxville, Tennessee, Everything School HQ. Joining me down there in Decatur, Georgia, my good friend, fellow University of North Georgia alumni, co-host of the Georgia Voice of College Football. It's Matt Green. Matt, good evening, sir. How are you?
Good evening, sir. It is good to be back with you here on a Sunday night, Monday morning for our listeners. But how you doing, man?
Pretty good. It was a good weekend, nice, relaxing weekend. The final one before I've got high school games singular to prep for and go to on Friday night here in East Tennessee. And then I'll be covering high school games across the area from this Friday on for foreseeable future. And then we got Saturday football. We got Kansas State, Iowa State that we'll talk about later on this week. And then week one is here, but we're in mock game week for Tennessee. Joey Aguilar named QB1 this evening as we're taping this on a Sunday night. But a whole lot going on the college football Tennessee front. I mean, it's not here this week, but man, we are very, very close. This will be the hardest weekend, I think. It's always week 0 is the hardest, where you just get a little bit and you're sitting there watching Hawaii Stanford on Saturday night and you're like, I mean, this is nice, but we're so close. We're so close to the real deal. And I think next weekend, Matt Green's going to be overwhelming because you have games on Sunday and Monday. So we're going to have Friday games.
You got Baylor Auburn is Friday.
Yeah, I'm going to get home from covering the game and then I'll just pop on Baylor Auburn in the second half. But yeah, no, there's going to be an overwhelming amount of college football games next week, but I'll take it after 9 months off.
For sure. Baylor Auburn is like the perfect kind of game, like for a Friday night. Like that's probably one that falls off the radar on Saturday with some of the more marquee games. But yeah, you remember how South Carolina with Spurrier, they kind of like made that their thing, playing on Thursday night, like for more national just eyeballs. If I was one of these G5 schools, I think I would always want to play on week 0. I think you get a little extra eyeballs on week 0 because people are just fiending for some football.
Well, you have to get approval. Like week 0, it's hard to get approval. Like I think the NCAA has to approve it, or somebody has to approve you even being allowed to play in week 0. It's not like this. Anybody
Is that
can
right?
Yes. Like you can't just compete in week 0. You have to get clearance.
Interesting. I did not know this.
Yeah, you need approval. I think it was Ross Dellinger who wrote about it over the summer that it requires some kind of I have to go back and find it in Yahoo Sports. I think it was Ross over the summer. But yeah, it's not a deal where everyone can just be week 0. But I also would posit...
It's very strange.
Yeah, but I would also posit that we should be moving the season up anyway. Like, let's all play week 0 as the new opening week of the college football calendar. Let's start these games earlier so that we can get done earlier and make sure that, like, the portal is not messing up college football playoff games. And, like, let's also think about this gap that we have in December from the conclusion of the regular season where we don't lose so much juice because the playoff goes on too long. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of different things that we could do with the calendar and this and the other. But as of right now, they also have not announced anything on the future of the transfer portal. Are they just going to keep 2 windows for another offseason? It feels like they need to make a decision on that sooner rather than later because that'll be here in 4 months. We got a ways to go, but it's one of those things you kind of wonder about if they're keeping both windows for another year or what's going to happen there. But that is something we should put on the back burner, Matt Green, because college football actual games is what we want to talk about here on this very program and what you and I want to dive into here. But don't forget, folks, you can watch this show at Pod Divided Vols versus Dogs every Monday and Thursday right here on the Chase Thomas Podcast YouTube channel, where we also new episodes go live at midnight Monday and Thursday as well. So you can listen on Apple, Spotify, or however you get your podcasts. And if you're listening on the audio format, please make sure you leave this show a 5-star rating and write us a review. If you're a subscriber and you like what you hear today, helps other people find the show, helps this show continue to grow a little bit more each and every day. You can also hit that thumbs up button and subscribe on the YouTube channel. Drop a comment and let us know what you think of today's episode with Matt and myself as we're back in the 2 pods a week gambit here with college football being here before you know it. You can also check out chasethomaspodcast.com for more information about the show, full episodes, links, and all that good stuff there, and read all my writing over there at sportsrenaissanceman.com on all things Tennessee. So if you want to read me as well, you can do so by checking us out and being a subscriber on the newsletter at sportsrenaissanceman.com. And make sure you go subscribe to the Georgia Voice College Football for all the Georgia folks tuning in here as well on their YouTube channel. You can also get in touch with us at chasethomaspodcast@gmail.com as well. So you want to get in touch with the show, mailbag questions, anything like that, you can email us, chasethomaspodcast@gmail.com. Matt Green, we have some dog bites here before we dive into SEC Part 2. Georgia, we talked about Part 1 here on the Thursday edition of this very show. So if you missed it, you can go back and it's the previous episode right here on this feed. So you can check that out with Matt and myself as we did SEC Part 1 previews in terms of our win-loss projection totals. We'll do Part 2 here today. But before we dive into that, what dog bites do you have coming out of this second scrimmage for the Georgia Bulldogs, Matt Green?
Yeah, Georgia had their second scrimmage this weekend. Pretty big stuff because I think there's not going to be a third scrimmage from what I hear. So usually the second scrimmage is the most important one. I think this year it's going to be the last one. So from what you hear, it's just it's getting you more excited for this season. The more you hear about some of these freshmen that Georgia has, because the Georgia tight end room, I mean, it's not Brock Bowers isn't there, right? But it's still just ridiculously loaded with how they've been able to stack 4- and 5-star recruits over the last several years. And Elias Williams, out of, where was he from? South Georgia. Was it Camden County?
Yes.
He's like 6'7", like 240. Like, this dude is just an absolute freak. And I think he might just be too good to keep off the field from what people are saying. But and then Elijah Griffin, the number 1 defensive lineman in the country. Like, this dude, Georgia's deep line is the unproven. So if this dude comes in and is an impact player from day one, like, that's just massive. And then obviously all the 5 stars get you excited, those two included. But Ellis Robinson got the start over Daniel Harris apparently in this second scrimmage, and former number 1 player in the country. I think every Georgia fan unfairly is wanting this guy to come in and be Derek Stingley or something. But you're like, you've seen those big time 5-star corners be those guys, and so he was ranked like one of those guys. So if Ellis Robinson turns into the guy he's supposed to be coming out of high school, or he's projected to be coming out of high school, all of a sudden Georgia's secondary is pretty nasty.
Yeah, I think Elias Williams is like another kind of freak. It's kind of funny to hear people. I was listening to some NFL podcasts over the weekend, and one of the things they talked about was Darnell Washington is like a third tackle, basically, with his size and his blocking frame. He's not really a tight end. Like, he really is a unicorn in a lot of ways, because he was just such a cheat code for Georgia. And it's something you think about. Brock Bowers first, obviously, but Darnell Washington was a different kind of unicorn in a lot of ways. But Elias is still a bit different. I don't think he has that same frame. No one else as a tight end has that same frame as Darnell Washington. But there's a lot of guys that kind of block him, though. You have Jaden Riddell, who was a big-time tight end target or commit last year. Tennessee was battling for him last year as well. But you also have Oscar Delp and Lawson Lucky. And they're just, like, if those two are healthy, they're going to gobble up a significant portion of the snaps. So I have a hard time believing it's a crowded room, like without injuries. I don't know how they see the field. It's not like running back where, like, hey man, one injury goes down, or, like you have an option if you're Bo Walker. Elias Williams, I think, has a stronger or a more arduous path to the field.
No, that's definitely true. And Jaden Riddell is created a buzz of his own in fall camp as well. And I really like Lawson Lucky. Georgia's played 3 tight ends. Like, John Fitzpatrick, he was drafted. Charlie Warner was drafted. Like, these guys that hardly really contributed at all in the pass game. So Georgia has played 3 tight ends a bunch, but yeah, I mean, this guy might just be such a weapon, because I think he is supposed to be a more legit receiving threat than Darnell Washington. Darnell Washington is like, you had to respect that he would run a route, but he wasn't really used that often in the passing game. But yeah, Elias Williams, I think, is a different level of athlete. But also a guy we haven't talked about at all, Dwight Phillips at running back. Like, he was a true freshman a year ago. He apparently broke a long touchdown run in this game. Like, Dylan Bell was used in the backfield some in the scrimmage, apparently. So it's looking like, Josh McCray, I think, was also healthy in this one. So it's looking like, Nate Frazier, Josh McCray, maybe Dwight Phillips, maybe Dylan Bell back there, maybe, and Bo Walker as well, the true freshman. So I don't know who the guys are. And Cash Jones, obviously a guy that's probably going to contribute, being, I think, like a senior at this point. So I don't know that there's that high end guy, but it feels like Georgia's got a lot of bodies in that backfield. I didn't name Chauncey Bowens or your boy Roderick Robinson either. So I don't know who it's going to be, but it feels like there's a lot more options this year than there was a year ago.
Yeah, so we'll see ultimately what happens on that front, but I think Georgia has a lot of options. And I mean, Juan Gaston, is he going to be a starting guard for Georgia as a true freshman? It seems like he's had a lot of buzz as well. So still some interesting pieces being moved around at Georgia.
Yeah, that was the other one I was going to call out. I appreciate that. Juan Gaston starting at the right guard position. So maybe, and Micah Morris is the most experienced there. So there could be Georgia likes to have like a 3-man rotation at like the 2 guard or like the 2 tackle spots. Like they had I'm forgetting who the rotation was, and Amarius Mims was there. I'm blanking off the top of my head right now, but it's like you've seen that a lot. Like Broderick Jones was like the 3rd tackle at one point. So like I think they have that rotation of Micah Morris, Michael Uini, and potentially the true freshman Juan Gaston at those 2 guard spots. Like that's kind of what they want to do and have depth on the O-line.
Yeah. Well, Matt Green, let's dive into our theme week as we continue on here. Final conference preview episode here, SEC preview part 2. Will they or won't they go over under with their win projection totals here from Vegas? Matt Green, bottom 8 here, and Tennessee is obviously included in this one, but a lot of heavy hitters that I am very, very curious. We've disagreed a lot in this preview season here, Matt Green. There's going to be really interesting to revisit this in January where we ultimately fell, because I think there's a lot of disagreements among our Power 4 picks in terms of who hits the win-loss over-under, and even the SEC last week was a lot of difference. So let's start with the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Matt Green. So I gotta clarify this at the beginning. I am bullish on Blake Shapen, and that is something I've been bullish on for last 2 years.
Was he your tier 1 quarterback?
He's a tier 1 in the SEC. Yes,
that's
if he's healthy.
Wild. Blake Shapen.
If you put Blake Shapen on Alabama, he'd be an upgrade at Georgia right now. You would not take Blake Shapen over Gunnar Stockton?
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know that Blake Shapen is actually good.
We do know he was great at Baylor. He won a Big 12 title. He was really good. I think he was the second
good for half a season.
Well, I think he was the second highest graded PFF SEC quarterback last year before he got hurt early on in the year. And if you look, the numbers like Blake Shapen is a gamer. He's been in the system forever. He understands how this works with Levy. He obviously, the injury bug is a big part of it. That's all it is. When he's healthy, he's a top 8 quarterback in this conference, like full stop.
See, top 8, I mean, you can have a conversation. He could be above average, but I don't know. I just can't see him. I can't see Mississippi State winning many games because of Blake Shapen.
Well, that's the other part of this. So Blake Shapen is kind of in a really bad spot. I think Blake Shapen should be allowed to also be the Tennessee backup quarterback this season. So if things go awry with Joey Aguilar, we can just go to Blake Shapen. We can have both. Like, I think it's one of those, like the Premier League where you loan guys, where Tennessee should just be able to pay Mississippi State.
You say he wouldn't start over Joey Aguilar?
No, I'm saying like another competition guy. But yeah, I would much rather Blake Shapen than Joey Aguilar.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Blake Shapen has seen Power 4 level.
One.
No, and look, it's just one of those things where I'm saying, like, in a perfect world where you just have 2 unknowns, basically, but he also, the Levy system, Heupel system, very close. But no, I was just thinking is like, if you have the Premier League part of it where Mississippi State can just they already know they're going to be bad this year, so they just loan Blake Shapen to Tennessee. Tennessee pays like $1.2 million for Shapen too, and that way we have Shapen plus Aguilar, and it's just, then you feel really okay.
I mean, essentially that's what we have in college football now. Unfortunately, it was Tennessee was the one that was getting poached from their quarterback spot.
Well,
or
no,
at
what I'm
least
saying is like
getting
he's
leveraged, I
still a
guess.
Mississippi State Bulldog or whatever, but he can go back. But it's a little bit different because this is last year of eligibility anyway, and there's all kinds of. But I mean, college football has kind of gone Premier League anyway, and that's kind of how it's always been. You know, the Manchester Cities, the Man United, the Liverpools, and everything else. And then you have the Bamas, the Texases, everything else. But that's another conversation for another day, Matt Green. The point is, Blake
Hey, don't
Shapen.
forget about Arsenal, man.
Don't forget about Arsenal. They beat Man United today.
They did.
But my thing is, this is still like, I remember talking to Matt Wyatt, friend of the program, former Mississippi State quarterback, about Mississippi State and what he saw from Nico in that Tennessee-Mississippi State game last year. But one of the things he talked about was Tennessee just ran down Mississippi State's throat when Nico left the game and just ran inside zone after inside zone. And he talked about like how bad that he doesn't remember, I think, the time of last time Mississippi State's defensive line looked like that. You know, I mean, you've had Simmons, you've had Sweat, you've had a lot of big time defensive linemen, NFL guys come through Starkville. And last year, Mississippi State's defensive line was horrific, and it wasn't an SEC quality defensive line. So they were 128th in FBS and rushing yards allowed last year, Matt Green. They were 116th in defensive yards per attempt total. I mean, their defense was unbelievably bad. Like, it wasn't one of those things where it was just bad. No. It was horrific, not just for the SEC, but in all of FBS. So it didn't matter who was at quarterback. Like, the defense wasn't giving anybody a chance to, whether it was Levy or whether it was Shapen or Van Buren, whoever. So they go 0-8 in the conference. A lot of that was not the offense. And everyone's looking at Levy. A lot of it was the defense. And he, of course, did hire Coleman Hutzler, I believe is his name, who had never called plays before. He was an Alabama guy. He's 41 years old. And now, though, they brought in a vet like McIntyre, who's coached forever. He was a head coach at Colorado for a while. He was just recently at FIU. He, I think, was at Ole Miss, too, for a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. But DC analyst. So he's an analyst type of guy. Could he have a Will Muschamp effect? Like, Will Muschamp has helped with Georgia still as an analyst type guy. Can he come in and be a veteran guy? Could he be the eventual DC if things don't work out with Coleman early on this season? But that's one they just Levy did not get right in terms of defensive coordinator hire. He should have gone with a proven guy at that spot. Or if he's going to go with Coleman, then you have to bring in a co-DC who has a lot of experience to help him out, who's called plays in the SEC, that sort of thing. So that was a miss. But he basically did the Lincoln Riley, Dan Mullen thing, more so Lincoln Riley, where Lincoln Riley brought in Alex Grinch with him to USC, and it set USC back a lot longer. And right now they're getting back with D'Anton Lynn, but he was loyal to Grinch, and it backfired in a major way early on at USC. You kind of see it, I mean, on the opposite end of Wisconsin, where Luke Fickell's now he's on the hot seat because he made the wrong move at OC, where he overthought it, and he's like, we're going to bring the air raid to Wisconsin. You're like, what are you doing? Like, you didn't have to do that. Like, you did not have to do that. Now your back is against the wall, and you were highly regarded as one of the best coaches in college football 2 years ago. And I think Levy is a good offensive mind. His coach job, I mean, Dylan Gabriel offenses with Levy at Oklahoma those 2 years were great. And I mean, we know Jeff Levy can call plays. It's just he hired wrong at DC, and he's running it back kind of, and we'll see where he's at with McIntyre. But there's so many question marks here where I'm like, I think the defense is still going to be really bad again when you look at this roster. And it's just kind of unfortunate because they brought in your guy from Georgia, who's probably going to start in the slot, speedster, Anthony Evans from Georgia. They brought in Jalen Smith from Tennessee, who's going to be probably one of their starting linebackers, who was in the 2 deep last year. We'll see ultimately what kind of role he has and what kind of jump he has, former 3-star kid out of Grayson. But Booth is a really good running back. And I think that combination of Booth and Shapen, if they can stay healthy, will be one of the best quarterback running back combinations in the conference. If they can stay healthy. I mean, Booth was 4th in all-purpose yards last year in the SEC, Matt Green. But my biggest thing is this schedule is horrific. We talk about Oklahoma and all these schools in the SEC, terrible schedules. When we're talking about a school that just went 0-8 in conference play and really needed a bounce back schedule type deal, it was Mississippi State. And Mississippi State is not getting that type of deal. This schedule is brutal. And even if they make progress this year and Shapen stays healthy, Booth has another big time year, they get a slightly better defense from a year ago. It doesn't really matter because I don't know where the wins are coming, Matt Green. Like, they go to take on Charles Huff and Southern Miss out of the gate on the road. Arizona State, who might win the Big 12 for back-to-back years the following week. I mean, Northern Illinois beat Notre Dame last year, so you host them. That's not a gimme. Tennessee, they're doing a whiteout for that, but then you go to A&M, to Florida, Texas at home, at Arkansas, Georgia at home, at Mizzou, and then Ole Miss in the Egg Bowl. I mean, it's just a brutal, brutal schedule. I think there's a path to 0-16 his first 2 years in the SEC, and I don't know how you sell that. Like, I don't know. That's uncharted waters, and 2 years is not enough. But man, I don't know where these SEC wins are coming with who they're playing. I mean, they have Texas, Georgia, Florida, Ole Miss, A&M, Tennessee. I mean, those could be 6 of the top 8 teams in the conference, Matt Green. And it's just they're on Mississippi State's schedule. I don't love the schedule, and I still like Blake Shapen a lot. I still think this offense can work in a lot of ways, but man, I have to go under this 3.5, which is crazy. But I think they're a 3-9 team, and I think if he gets to 5-7, I think it's a huge win for Jeff Levy. I think that it's not bowl season. He needs to march to 7 or march to 5 rather. I outside of Alcorn State, Northern Illinois, and you give me one more, maybe it's Southern Miss on the road, or I don't know, you may be upset Ole Miss at home. This just looks like 3-9 to me. So I'm going under. What about you?
Yeah, I think I probably put in 3 automatic wins. Maybe going on the road at Southern Miss isn't automatic, but I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt that those 3 are automatic. I think they can win one game in the conference. I'm not going to pick which one it is, but I do feel like it's funny how you like Blake Shapen a lot, but I feel like if they're getting solid quarterback play, like I feel like they're going to get somebody, whether it's Arkansas, whether it's Tennessee, whether it's Missouri, like Texas A&M or something. Like I feel like this isn't new for Mississippi State to not be favored in every single game, right? Like this is kind of standard Mississippi State schedule. Also, the last thing I'll say, I feel like we all feel good about Arizona State watching them last year, but let's not act like the Big 12 isn't the most unpredictable conference in America. Like TCU was legit beating people and then fell off the face of the earth the next year after playing in the national championship game. So it's not like Arizona State coming into Mississippi State is just some automatic loss for Mississippi State either.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing, but Arizona State, I mean, they have a crazy amount of returning production. Again, they reloaded with the Army running back to replace Scatabo. Sam Levitt's back. I mean, they're a preseason favorite. I think Josh Pate tonight just dropped that he has Arizona State winning the Big 12 back-to-back years. And like you said, it can be crazy, and it's a crazy thing to predict, but it's not great. The point being is, like, that's not a great non-conference game for a team that's trying to even get to 4-5 wins this season. Like, that's not even at home. Like you're like, oh man, we don't need Arizona State in the schedule this year.
Like what? Like Texas came into Arkansas, right? Year 1 of Sam Pittman, like and Arkansas got like Mississippi State, that home crowd week 2. Like it could be those cowbells can create an atmosphere. That's all I'll say. Year 2, Jeff Levy, could be some improvement there.
100%.
Especially if they're getting good quarterback play.
Let's say this. We'll move on. If he goes 0-8 again, 0-16 to start in SEC play his first 2 years, does he get year 3?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay.
I think there's reason to give him time. This is the fact that the schedule, we don't know what it is moving forward. Like these first 2 years, like I mean, they've drawn one of the toughest schedules in the entire conference. So, I just don't think anyone should be fired in general in 2 years.
That's fair. I don't know. I just,
but yeah,
it's uncharted waters.
4 wins.
Okay.
They get 1 conference win. That's the hot take, I guess.
So you're going over.
Yeah.
Okay.
But also they could go 4-0 to start the season and then 0-8 in the SEC. I just don't think Arizona State's an automatic law. I remember TCU a couple years ago. They feel like a better program with Dillingham kind of creating a buzz, but I mean, they could just as easily have lost however many games. Like the Big 12 is going to be wild again.
We shall see.
Media didn't even predict what was going to happen. They don't even know.
Maybe it might just be exactly what we thought. Like it's just the best teams. It's the opposite of last year where everyone thought Utah and Oklahoma State were givens. And this year it might flip. It might be like the preseason top 2 teams are who we think they are, and they just take care of business. Who knows?
Could be. That's why
Next
why
up.
we play the games.
That's why we play the games. 7.5. The Mizzou Tigers. Matt Green, what say you about Mizzou this year?
This is one of the more difficult ones to predict. I feel like when the schedule kind of conflicts with how good you think a team is, I feel like it starts to throw you off, because like it's tough to find 5 guaranteed losses. I mean, in their schedule, I mean, they play 4 preseason ranked opponents, and 3 of them are at home: South Carolina, Alabama, and Texas A&M. You got Bo Pribula, who we just all have no idea how good he is. Like, is he Trace McSorley 2.0? Like, is that what they're getting? Or I don't know. I have really can't speak. Like, all we've really seen him do in Penn State's offense is run. So I'm really curious to see what he is this year. I feel like that South Carolina game is like a crossroads game, like what I would have used to have called like the South Carolina Kentucky game. It's like which of those teams is going to maybe be the 3rd best team in the SEC East this year? It's like they have to eliminate one of the other first. I feel like that South Carolina game week 4 could kind of determine which of those teams could be a contender and sneak into the top 20, top 15. I mean, I guess South Carolina's already in the top 15, but I think that game's going to be really massive, because I mean, Missouri wins that, they're starting 5-0. So I don't know. I think I kept going back and forth when it comes to Missouri. I feel like the amount of question marks, I think this feels more like a 7-5 team, but they've won 11 games or 21 games the last 2 seasons. So does Eli Drinkwitz have this trending in the right direction, or was it some schedule fortune? Was it, things coming together, some solid players at the same time, new quarterback, like I said? I don't know. Missouri just doesn't feel that good. I feel like they could go 8-4, and I feel like they're not very good, but let me go under and say this is a 7-win team this year.
It's interesting. I didn't think you were going to go under, because this schedule, if I'm a Mizzou fan, I'm sick if we go 7-5 with this schedule.
Yeah.
We talk about like having an opening here, and how many wins Eli Drinkwitz has his last 2 years. Obviously, they took a step back last year, but this was still a team that won 10 games, right? Last year?
Yeah. After the bowl game, right? Yeah.
Yes. I mean, you get Kansas at home. You will be favored. You get South Carolina at home in a toss-up game. You don't even leave the state of Missouri until October 18th, Matt Green.
Yeah, that's
they
pretty
don't
wild.
leave the state of Missouri until October 18th. They're big-time road games in the SEC this year. I hope you're sitting for this. At Auburn, at Vanderbilt, at Oklahoma, at Arkansas. There is no reason this Missouri team should not do what Tennessee did and just power their way to 10-2 and make the CFP as the 4th team, where no one actually believes that they're one of the 4 best teams in the SEC this year. Matt Green, they should have loaded up in the portal this cycle. Like, we'll see what Kevin Coleman and Hardy and those guys do, and I think there is a lot of reasons to be bullish. I think they probably should have done more on the offensive line in the portal, but they go out and get Damon Wilson. If he's a wrecking ball like Georgia fans thought he might be at Georgia, like, that's huge for them off the edge. But Matt, like, I don't know when else, like, Mizzou, this is your moment. You're not, when the schedules get changed, they're going to have a much more difficult schedule, and they're not recruiting it the same way like when they got the number 1 player, the kid who already transferred to Nebraska, who they got 2 cycles ago after his freshman season.
Williams
Nwaneri. That's right.
Yeah.
So he's already out. But the point being, schedule is just, it's too good. Every other SEC quote unquote contender would kill for this schedule. We ripped Texas' schedule. This is still a much easier schedule than even what Texas is trotting out this year. I mean, they were good. The 7.5 is honestly disgusting if you're Mizzou and you can't get to 8 or 9 wins, 9 being the floor with this schedule. Matt Green, I just think it's a joke. Like, this is you completely wasted this window here if you don't take advantage and make the playoff in one of these 2 years, with Mizzou's schedule last year and Mizzou's schedule this year. If you don't make the playoff once with this schedule, which again, everyone rips Tennessee's schedule, it's an easy one. Mizzou's schedule is easier than Tennessee's this year, and it's not even close. So Mizzou should be able to parlay this into a college football playoff appearance. Like there are so many other teams around this conference, Oklahoma, Florida, Auburn. You look around the conference, good teams who might just get crushed by just what they're dealing with in the schedule is. And I mean, even South Carolina, I think, has got a brutal schedule. But you're telling me you can't get to 10 wins with this schedule, Mizzou? Are you kidding me?
You act like this schedule is easy. Like the way
it is easy.
The game you just read on the road at Auburn, at Vanderbilt, at Oklahoma, and at Arkansas. You gonna tell me those aren't 4 losable games for Missouri this year?
I mean, they should be favored at Arkansas. They should be favored at Vanderbilt. And honestly, they should be favored at Auburn.
I'm just saying Oklahoma and Auburn with those are 2 like dark horse chaos teams. Like those.
Here's what they should lose to. They should lose to Bama at home, and they should lose.
It was not a joke last year.
They should lose to Bama at home and one of Oklahoma, A&M, and Auburn. But they won't. They're gonna hit the over though. Like they have to hit the over, even though it's weird in the Sam Horn, Bo Perbula conversation right now. This schedule's just too good. If they hit the under on 7.5 with this schedule, I mean, that is one of the all-time overlooked, just absolute masterclass of not taking advantage of an opening. And just
we're also look at this home slate also. Like it's not like this isn't can you think of any like Missouri like huge upsets like over like top 10, top 15 teams like in recent history? Like I mean, they smashed Tennessee a couple years ago. I guess that was an upset when it happened in 2020.
Yeah, I think Tennessee was in the top 15-ish, right?
They were probably top 10, I would think. That was probably like their second loss of the season, right?
That was their third.
Was that the third loss? Okay.
Yeah, they lost to Florida and Bama already.
Okay. So like that was probably one of the bigger wins, but it's not like Missouri has this like history of like just being a super difficult place to play. Like I'm not saying nowhere in the SEC is it easy to play. Not even Vanderbilt, despite what Nick Saban would say. But getting Alabama and South Carolina and A&M all at home, like that's easily 3 losses. Like they could beat one of them because they're at home, and most people get a key win at home or something. But I don't know. I'm not as like. I mean, for one, we haven't seen Bo Perbula ever start a game. So I just think, or maybe he has started one. I don't know. I'm not sure at Penn State. But I don't know. Oklahoma and at Auburn, like those are not difficult. Those are not easy places to go in and win a college football game. So yeah, give me that 7-5. I don't think this is as easy of a schedule. Like Georgia would love to have this schedule compared to the one they have. But I don't know. I don't think it's as easy as you're making it out to be.
Bad take, Matt Green. Bad take.
10 wins.
They should minimum 9, but 10 should be in play. You should be going into this year, if you're a Mizzou fan, like, we can make the playoff. But 7.5 tells me no one believes that they can make the playoff, and no one believes they're even going to come close to 10 wins. Sorry, that's an F.
So
F all around.
Who beat them last year? It was Alabama would have been one of them.
Didn't they lose to Vanderbilt?
Did they lose to...
Who did they lose to last year?
They lost to A&M 41-10. They lost at A&M last year.
South Carolina was the other one.
34-0 at Bama, and then 34-30 at South Carolina. So obviously those are flipped.
Oh yeah, Vanderbilt went to overtime. I was going to say, I was like, I thought they lost. Yeah, they beat Vandy in overtime.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was on that Any Given Saturday show, that clip. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's going to be as easy as you're saying. And Vanderbilt is not the pushover that they've been in the past. Like I think they might be I don't know, a team that wins a couple games in conference now. I don't know.
We'll get to Vanderbilt, Matt.
Diego Pavia, man. Your boy.
Next up, Oklahoma, 6.5, Matt Green. They're like the opposite of Missouri in a lot of ways this year, where their schedule is horrible. And I think they would be, if you give Oklahoma Missouri's schedule, I think everyone has them in the preseason college football playoff, right? As one of the teams, with how much people love John Mateer in this offseason. I think
people
Oklahoma would be
John Mateer.
They really love John Mateer, and I think that would be a common pick here. But I mean, I do think they have the second worst schedule. I think people have gone too far. Look, they say, I think Oklahoma and South Carolina schedules are actually pretty comparable. I think Florida still is the hardest schedule in the SEC this year by my metrics, and especially the out of conference with just Miami and Florida State, who I think will bounce back this year. So that is neither here nor there, Matt Green. But 6.5 is the number. Here's the issue when people talk about John Mateer, and one of the lazier things I see is John Mateer, Cam Ward, back-to-back Washington State quarterbacks who had a lot of success in Pullman last year and the year prior. The difference is, if you look at who Cam Ward played in 2023, he was playing Oregon. He was playing Washington. He was playing a top 15 Arizona team. He was playing Wisconsin, who was a Power 2 team. You look at what they did that year. They played at Colorado State in 2023. Cam Ward was battle tested in a power conference before he transferred to Miami, where he led the number 1 scoring offense. John Mateer was playing Fresno State. He was playing Boise State. He was playing Utah State. He was playing Oregon State. He was playing a G5 schedule. And you look at the quarterback tiers, I was looking through ESPN. This is something that I think should concern Tennessee fans, is Taylon Green, I think, is like the only G5 to P4 quarterback mover outside of, I think, maybe Darian Minsa, but I think he's in the list with Joey Aguilar in like the 70s, where most of the top tier quarterbacks in the Power 4 and most of the top tier quarterbacks in FBS this year were, if they were transfers, they transferred from one Power 4 school to another. It's not one of those where they moved up from Troy to Auburn. That's not really what's happening here when you go through the top quarterbacks in this sport this year. Mateer is an outlier because Mateer is in that tier 1 for this ESPN list that I was looking through and where they see John Mateer, because people just think Washington State and they think Power 5 because Pac-12. They were a G5 program last year. That was a G5 schedule and a G5 program. And it's a big jump up. You saw Sam Hartman making the jump even from Wake to Notre Dame. Didn't go well. Like Sam Hartman, who lit it up with mesh and everything else at Wake Forest for years, did not translate to Notre Dame at all. Rough year. Notre Dame still won some games, but Sam Hartman was not good his season at Notre Dame. Then you look at their starting left tackle. It's going to probably be a true freshman 5-star in Fasusi. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but I think it's Fasusi. We'll see what that looks like. But Oklahoma had a huge sack problem last year. And I look at this offensive line. I don't see a highly upgraded offensive line. I think there's still a bunch of questions at how they're going to be able to protect John Mateer. So that's a big part of it. They got crushed by Boise last year, that being Washington State, who ended up making the playoff. They beat UW in Seattle, which big win for them, I guess. But they are really relying on Deion Burks to stay healthy, the Purdue transfer who was not healthy last year. They lost Nick Anderson. They lost guys who other teams wanted out of the portal from Oklahoma. It wasn't like they were depleted at receiver last year, but they were depleted because of injury. They were good players. So they lost good players at wide receiver that could have helped them this year. They're really going to need him in a major way. They were 113th in total offense. I understand Seth Luttrell and company are gone, but Brent Venables still the head coach. Calling plays for the defense. I still think he is going to have to say, and like there will be some part of his thoughts going into the offense. It's not just going to be the Ben Arbuckle show from first down to the opening game to the end of the season. Like there's going to be other things involved. Wazoo was 57th in third down rate last year, third down conversion percentage. They also played 2 ranked teams. John Mateer faced 2 ranked teams last year playing for the Cougs. Very different deal than what Cam Ward was facing at Wazoo 2 years ago. He played 2 ranked teams in Oregon and Washington alone, and then Arizona and a couple others. So I just think that people have to pump their brakes on Mateer. Like I think Mateer might be okay. He might be good. But when Bailey Zappi made the jump to Western Kentucky with his head coach, Zach Kitley, and they're the offensive coordinator there, and it all worked for Tyson Helfson. But that was G5. Like he made the jump up to a G5 school and they ran the table. They won double-digit games. I think they actually played App State in that bowl game that year. But it was a great year, double-digit wins. Diego Pavia is obviously the path that everyone's looking at, where Beck comes over, Cherry Kill comes over, Diego comes over, and it all works. And maybe that's how it works at Oklahoma. But I think that might be the outlier, not the norm. And it's just, I think it's going to be asking a lot for this all to come together. I think I have a lot of questions as to whether or not this all works. I have a lot of questions as to whether Mateer is just a slam dunk play guy, similar to what Cam Ward was 2 years ago. I don't see it. I am hitting the under. I think the schedule is brutal. I don't think this ends well for Venables in Oklahoma this year. I think it's 5-7, 6-6 type deal. I'm going under, and I don't think Mateer has the kind of season that people are expecting.
Yeah, the schedule is definitely tough. I think I'm higher on Mateer than you are, but I think was it Josh Pate or someone had him winning the Heisman? I think someone kind of prominent had him was their Heisman prediction. So I'm not that bullish on him. That one stretch, what I was saying about South Carolina, Missouri in September, I kind of feel the same way about Auburn, Oklahoma, there at the end of September. It kind of feels like an elimination game, like the team that wins that one could carry the torch. But that stretch of Texas, South Carolina, Ole Miss, Tennessee, and then and Alabama is just absurd. And then into the season with LSU, I don't know. Where are the wins? What'd you say? 6.5? It's just it's hard to find 7 wins on this schedule. I think what are the ones on the road? At South Carolina, at Alabama, and at Tennessee. Yeah, I think I gotta go under. Michigan's another one. Like I don't even I don't know what to expect from that game, but it is in Norman. So that should help them. But yeah, they're they should win 3, maybe 4 out of conference. I can't see this team winning 3 conference games, to be honest. So I think I'm gonna have to go under as well. You went under on Oklahoma?
I did.
I think I gotta go under as well on Oklahoma. I don't know where the wins are.
I just think it's either going to be a boom, like this is all great. Mateer is a superstar, and Arbuckle saves and revitalizes Oklahoma, and this is all great. Or the offensive line stinks. The wide receivers still aren't healthy or deep enough. Jay Knott, who quietly did not have the year that people are talking about last year at Cal, it wasn't like his first 2 years at Cal were really strong. This past year was not the same deal in terms of his production. So I think a lot of people are looking at him as like another big part of what he was doing. He only ran, Matt Green, 3.3 yards per carry, 116 carries, 385 yards, 4 TDs. He didn't have a great year last year, Matt Green. And people are remembering the previous 2 where he averaged 5 yards carry. He had 1,300 yards in 23. So you're banking on him getting back to that form. And I don't know. I'm selling all the Oklahoma stock. I think they are I don't think it's going to go well. I'm going to go Oklahoma under, and we're both under here.
Yeah.
Next up, South Carolina, 7.5. Matt Green, what say you?
This is another one of the toughest ones to predict, in my opinion. Like, I mean, I like South Carolina a lot, so just suggest them winning 7 games almost feels like sacrilegious at this point, or blasphemous. But they have, I think, by a lot of people, the best quarterback in the SEC right now. But even Lenore Sellers, like, being the best quarterback, which I think he can be the best quarterback in the SEC, he feels like the most like volatile option. Like, of that top group of like the tier 1 quarterbacks who you might consider the best, he feels like the one that has the lowest floor. Like, he could just get hurt. Like, maybe it's his style of play. You've seen that LSU game. Like, that was a game that, they probably, I mean, without the refs, they probably should win the game anyway. But if Lenore Sellers doesn't miss, is it the final 2 quarters of that game? At least the final quarter of that game. That one's probably different. So they go at LSU, at Ole Miss, at Alabama, and they get at at LSU, at Ole Miss, and at Texas A&M. I mean, and then Alabama and Clemson at home. That's 5 tough games right there. I just and 3 of them on the road, and Ole Miss spanked them in Columbia last year. So they have beaten Clemson 2 years in a row, or is it 2 of the last 3 years? I want to say, but so the fact that they get Clemson at home again, like that, I feel like that's what people are forgetting when they're all this Clemson hype, is that like Clemson lost a lot of these games a year ago that were toss up kind of teams with equal-ish talent. So like that could be a win for South Carolina. And who knows, with how South Carolina played Alabama a year ago, like that could be a win in Williams-Brice Stadium. But they're just such a difficult team to predict. But I think the 7.5 number is low enough that I still think that this is an 8-win team next year. So I'm going to go over on the Gamecocks, because if Lenore Sellers does stay healthy, I think he can be the best quarterback in this conference. And it's just, I mean, we've seen what quarterbacks that are athletes can do. Like they're in college, like it can just be the ultimate equalizer. So I think Sellers could be that guy for South Carolina. So give me the over.
I am more bullish on Lenora Sellers than John Mateer for sure. I do think it's interesting because South Carolina, I think Lenora Sellers, you're hearing, could be the number 1 overall pick in the 2026 NFL draft, which I don't recall a South Carolina quarterback ever doing that. Does anyone jump out to you? Last South Carolina quarterback to go number 1 overall. What was the last
South Carolina quarterback? Yeah, I think you stole it out. South Carolina quarterback that was drafted. Is that what you were gonna say?
No, I mean it was Spencer Rattler before this.
Oh shoot, I forgot about Rattler.
But
before Rattler, I mean, who? Steven Garcia wasn't drafted. Connor Shaw, I don't think was drafted. Was Connor Shaw drafted?
Jake Bentley was definitely not drafted.
I don't know. Blake Mitchell, I don't think he was drafted.
Yeah, not a lot. So this is uncharted waters outside of the Lenora Seller or the Spencer Rattler camp. But like you said, they finished really strong. They beat Clemson, crushed Wofford, beat Mizzou. They beat Vanderbilt. They crush A&M at home. They crush Oklahoma on the road. They were right there, and honestly should have beaten Alabama in Tuscaloosa. The weird game last year was like you said, LSU. They should have gotten that game at home. They crushed Kentucky on the road. They get embarrassed at home by a good Ole Miss team, though. Like that was one who you and I agree that the best version of Ole Miss last year, I think, was the best in the conference, and I think we agree there. Like the best version of Ole Miss that we saw in 24 was the best team in the SEC. But you have to have that every week. You can't still win 3 games and lose to Kentucky at home in embarrassing fashion early on in the year, or you're a playoff team. And then who knows what happens to Ole Miss last year. But Matt Green, I do think one of the things that's interesting about South Carolina this year in particular is what do they do with these kinds of expectations? Because I think it's fair. I mean, you get Va Tech at home, you get Vandy at home, Kentucky at home. I think you should be favored and should be able to go into Mizzou and win that game. You might be undefeated going into that road game at LSU. You get Bama at home. You're right there, Bama a year ago. Ole Miss, we think takes a step back, so you have some possible revenge there on the road. You get Oklahoma at home. At A&M is going to be really hard. Yes, you crushed them last year, but playing at Kyle Field's a different type of deal. And you get, like you said, Clemson at home. I think this is a lock for the over if Lenora Sellers is healthy. Like, yeah, they have questions at receiver outside of Harbor and company, but I think this is going to be a good team. Dylan Stewart still off the edge. I think they still got a lot of good defensive talent there. Mazeo Bennett, another slot receiver guy who Tennessee was in on, 4-star wide receiver, who's going into his, second, third year at South Carolina. But their running back, I believe, got finally the waiver to play, right? Like that was the whole thing, was like they've been waiting on their running back situation to be finalized here for a while. And it was like he was finally able to start practicing not too long ago, right? Resul Faison.
I think you're right about that. I'm not 100%. But
I think Resul Faison, who is a big time get out of Utah State, but I think he's finally, he's with them for preseason practice. So I don't know. It still doesn't know if he's for sure going to be part of it, looks like, but the fact he's allowed to practice, I don't know. It seems odd that we're now 2 weeks away and his eligibility is still not completely confirmed. But I think that's a sneaky big part of it, is if Faison's able to play. You saw with Sanders last year, right? Like he was really good for them. So I think they sneaky need Faison to get that clearance and to be a plug and play guy at running back again this year. So we shall see, but I'm going over. I think they're a solid over 8-4, 9-3 team to me. I don't think they're a playoff team, but I would also not be surprised if Lenora Sellers is the best quarterback in the SEC. They could be a playoff team.
Yeah, and the one I think we're not necessarily sleeping on it, but we're not highlighting it as one of their more difficult games. Like they've never won in College Station. Like this has basically been a locked rivalry since they joined the conference, and they never won there. So it's tough if you're working at a already automatic loss in College Station with some of those other toss-up games.
Yeah. Do you see Baylor's bringing back the gold and green uniforms for the Auburn game next Friday?
Like actual gold as opposed to like yellow?
Yes. What they wore during the Griffin era.
RG3?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd be nervous if I was an Auburn fan next Friday night in Waco.
Would you?
I mean, I think Baylor's going to win that game, not to get ahead of ourselves, but yeah, I think Baylor's going to win. Next up, Matt Green. I don't want to talk about him. I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, Matt Green.
Don't want to do this, huh? You're on the record, sir.
I'm on the record here. So 8.5. They were 9.5 before Nico Iamaleava departed. The schedule has not changed. 8.5 is a perfect number for them in terms of their over-under. I believe ESPN had the over last week, and I saw in an article their analysts were projecting the over. 8.5 wins was the favorite there. So getting to 9-3 is where they're headed. But I do think it is interesting because I understand both sides. And now that Joey Aguilar, we're taping this on a Sunday night, has been confirmed as QB1 for 2025, there is a possibility, like there is a path where I think what made me feel a whole lot better was ESPN's final S&P Plus rankings. I don't know if you saw that, Matt Green, that Bill Connolly dropped this week.
Oh, yeah, the SEC bias.
The what?
Yeah, the SEC bias. I see people talking about it. Oh, the SEC. Oh. Was it Rhett Lashley? Was it Rhett Lashley that was talking about the SEC bias in the FBI?
Oh, no, rankings? I don't know. But all I know is he had Tennessee 12, but he has Tennessee number 4 defensively. Like his S&P Plus actually has Tennessee with a better defense than Georgia at number 5. He projects Tennessee's defense to be better than Georgia's in 2025. Top 25 in special teams, 33rd in offense. So the reason I think that's important is like the numbers, like there has been a huge contrast between national media and what numbers seem to suggest about Tennessee. The numbers still like Tennessee a lot in 2025. The national feeling is not that same way where they're like, oh, you lost Nico. How do you rebound? It's a rebuilding year, this, that, and the other. Tennessee is going to be able to run the heck out of the ball. I think they have 3 really good backs in Peyton Lewis, Deshaun Bishop, and Star Thomas. Like they're going to be able to run it down people's throats. Tennessee's tackles are going to be a whole lot better than what they saw last year. Lance Hurd looks like $1 million. He's going to be one of the better left tackles in the SEC. You have 2 SEC scary good guys that you want as tackles in the SEC with David Sanders, 5-star number 1 overall tackle at right tackle, and Lance Hurd at left. You're going to be just fine in the interior with Jesse Perry, Sam Pendleton, and William Moy. Tight ends, I think they may have, outside of Georgia, the best tight end room in the SEC with Ethan Davis, Miles Kitselman, who I think is going to be a draft pick next year, and the 2 big-time freshman 4-stars, Jack Van Dorselaer and Deshaun Bram. They're loaded there. So if they want to go 12 personnel where they were able to just skull crush a lot of teams into 10 wins last year by playing a very ground and pound physical style and out physicaling people at the line of scrimmage, they're going to be able to do that in a better way, even on the offensive line this year. So I think if the passing game is not exactly where it needs to be, then hey, I think Tennessee's actually going to be more built to do what they did last year to a great extent. Losing David Hobbs to injury this week, to a foot injury, and he's going to be out for a couple weeks, it looks like. That's not great as your 3rd tackle, defensive tackle, that is. In the interior behind Jackson Moy and Bryce Neeson, you need him healthy because I think he has breakout potential and a guy who could play key snaps on 3rd down rushing the passer. Tyree Weathersby's healthy at strong side defensive end. That's huge. I think they're going to be deeper at strong side defensive end than they've been in a long time. They need one of Caleb Herring or Jordan Ross to pop at Leo behind Joshua Josephs. That's huge. Jermon McCoy, TBD when he's back, but you got Colton Hood, and Colton Hood, by all accounts, has been really good for Tennessee and should be a plug-and-play corner from Colorado, from a 4-star out of Georgia. I think they're going to be really solid. Like Boo Carter, huge unknown, but McMurray at star will be just fine for Tennessee if that's where they have to go. My thing is like they need Aaron Carter to stay healthy. One of the things that's happened to this defense the last couple of years, when Keenan Peely went down, you noticed the drop-off. Like Keenan was a big-time leader, older player. It's just not having him, you just notice where a lot of the young guys were thrust into action. You had to throw Elijah Herring and Jalen Smith, 2 3-star guys, into the rotation because you lost Peely. This year, you have more blue chip talent, but they're all young. Like everybody behind Aaron Carter, who's become the leader of this defense, is young. Arion led the team in tackles last year. He needs to be in bubble wrap the next 2 weeks because Arion, if you're going to have a top 4 defense, Arion's got to play all 12 games. He's got to be a leader. He's got to help those guys behind him, the young blue chip linebackers, develop, be that guy. But I think there actually is, there's 100% path. I feel really good about the defense, really good about special teams with Max Gilbert and Jackson Ross and Boo and whoever else is back there. I feel really good about the running game, really good about the tackles, really good about tight end. The only thing I don't feel good about is receiver, and that can be proven wrong. Like if Joey Aguilar is able to make some plays downfield, take some chances that Nico did not, I mean, he is going. That's the thing that I have no idea how it's going to unfold. Does Joey build that timing? Is he able to bring that downfield assault back that we have not seen since 2022? It's a huge unknown. I have no idea. I do know though, he's going to try. Like early on, Tennessee is going to be really fascinating to watch because he's only had 2.5 months to learn the system. Like he's going to be freestyling out there a little bit, Matt Green. So I am very curious to see how he looks, what the chemistry is like, not having his 3 receivers on the same page all August with not all 3 of them not being able to practice together for the majority of fall camp here. If that's your biggest worry, I think Tennessee showed last year, and Heupel has shown in the last 3. He's won 30 games doing this. Like I think the floor is still really high. I think I'm going to go over. I think I'm just going to go, if they're healthy in some key spots here, I think they're going to be fine. I think they're going to be 9-3, and I would not be surprised if it's 8-4 still, but I'm going to go 9-3. I'm going to go positive.
Yeah,
not a playoff team though.
I think this is a perfect number in terms of like, I think the over and under really determines if the season is a success or not. Like, I think 9-3, every Tennessee fan is just like, guys, like Nico pulled the rug out from under us. Like this, XYZ Heupel's gotten essentially rid of the floor of our team is 9 wins. Like we're fine. Everything's good. And it feels like 8-4. It's like, okay, now there's a little bit of worry. Like, I don't know. Maybe they still give them that benefit of the doubt because of the reasons I just mentioned, but it feels like everyone would understand. Like Georgia or Tennessee hasn't won at Florida or in Tuscaloosa since 2003, and they haven't beaten Georgia in Knoxville since 2015. So they're having to break some streaks with those 3 games right there. And you look at, like, if they lose those 3 games, I think that's what's acceptable. And I think 9-3 was realistic with Nico. And I think there's a chance. Like, I just think there is some downgrade from Nico that we see. And I wasn't even the biggest Nico fan, but I think there's some downgrade. So I think maybe it's Oklahoma. I'm not predicting them to lose to Mississippi State on the road. I'm not predicting them to lose to Kentucky on the road. Although the last 3 trips to Lexington have all been close games, if I remember correctly. So like, I don't know, just it's tough to play anywhere in the SEC, and we've seen Heupel kind of lay some eggs to this point on the road. Maybe it's the Bama and Florida games, but it's like I wouldn't even consider those laying eggs. You might just lose to good teams on the road. The fact that they've struggled the way they have, it helps to get probably the 2 worst teams in the SEC as those other 2 games on the road. So maybe it's Georgia, maybe it's Oklahoma, but I think I'm going to go under. I think this team goes 8-4 this year.
Very much a possibility. I'm just going to, I think I'm going to give Heupel and the staff benefit of the doubt. And I like the numbers part of it, where this defense, if they're a top 10 defense and they're a top 10 rushing attack with this schedule, they can absolutely get to 9-3.
Like, I think, like, we kind of compare teams to Penn State as being those teams that like just beat everyone they should beat and then lose to the best teams. Like, I think you can almost put Tennessee in that conversation the last few years. Although they've beaten they've beaten Alabama when they were number 1. They beat Alabama last year, but I don't know, without the, and maybe in Heupel's system, Aguilar looks a lot better, but without the guaranteed talent at quarterback, I don't know if we can pencil in Tennessee as who they can automatically beat. And then the toss-up games are the best teams on the schedule.
Yeah, I mean, I think Tennessee is going to be favored in 9 games. So if they're favored in 9 games this year, then Heupel's pretty good at winning games he should. So, and Tennessee's lost 1 home game in the last 3 years. And that team's coming to Knoxville in week 3.
Yeah, and that's probably a good time to get Georgia as well.
We shall see. Next up, Matt Green, Texas, 9.5. What say you about the Horns?
The Longhorns. It's interesting that they're the preseason number 1 team, and the win total is at 9.5. I think that Ohio State game, I feel like, carries so much weight because you look at the conference You go at Georgia, you go at Florida, and the neutral site with Oklahoma. You do get Texas A&M at home. I feel like that Ohio State game feels like it's just going to carry so much weight on if they're a 10-win team or an 11-win team. I'm not as high on Texas as everyone else is, but I think with this schedule, I don't know how many teams on this schedule can beat them, like realistically. Like I think Florida is a game that a lot of people are circling, and I don't know about Florida to this point. And Oklahoma, like we've talked about when we're doing all these previews, Oklahoma, Auburn, and Florida, they feel like they're those chaos teams right there in the middle that could kind of swing either way. And like maybe neither of those teams is that good, and Texas has they just start the season to like an easy 8-0, 9-0 or something like that. Like I think there's just that Ohio State game really goes a long way for me. Obviously Georgia beat them twice last year. Now they have to go to Athens. I don't know. Maybe that's one of the losses. Maybe they beat Georgia. Like it's hard. And then Texas A&M they did beat on the road last year, and so for them to have to come to Austin this year, I probably like Texas to win that game. So I don't know. It's hard for me to find 3 losses for sure on this schedule. So I think Texas goes over at least 10-2 this year.
Interesting.
And I'm not even the one anointing Arch Manning for president either.
You ready for a stunner, Matt Green?
Uh-oh.
I think Texas misses the SEC title game. I think Texas is in real trouble with the schedule. I think they're going to beat Ohio State, and I think that's good. Like Ohio State, that's one of those where I just think we need to recalibrate what we think of the Buckeyes. I don't think Ohio State's going to do well in this game. I think Texas is going to win, and I think they might win comfortably. It might be one of the – I'm glad that game might be happening the same time Tennessee and Syracuse is, because I think it might be a deflating just – I don't want to say curb stomp, but just kind of like Matt Patricia and Brian Hartline are the coordinators now. And Ohio State lost a bunch of NFL talent, and it's going to take some time there. Not like they're going to win less than double-digit games this season, but I don't think that's a great opening contest for them at all. And I think Texas is absolutely going to take advantage of that opportunity. I think Texas crushes Ohio State early. That being said, I think Texas is going to lose at Florida on October 4th. I think Texas is going to lose at Georgia on November 15th. And I think that A&M game at home to end the season, it's a toss-up game for me, Matt Green. So I think those are 2 losses. I would be shocked if Texas wins either Florida or Georgia. I will say that. I would be floored if Texas wins either of those 2 games.
The A&M game last year just felt like a game they dominated, and like the energy and everything of the home crowd like kept A&M in it. They caused a couple turnovers like in the red zone and stuff. Like I don't know that they get the same energy in Austin this year.
I have 10. So I have the over for Texas, but I don't think they make the SEC title game. I think it's a very depressing 10-2 where fans are like, okay, well, let's see what Arch does in the playoffs now, because I think they're going to lose their big games, and the Ohio State game will feel like forever ago because you're opening the season that way.
Even though it'll be a big game is massive, though.
But it's just the first week. You see it every year. You just forget. Like, you forget what that was. I mean, USC beat LSU to open last year. No one remembers that. No, who remembered Notre Dame losing at home to Northern Illinois by November, December? Like, it just the season's long.
Ended up not being good. Like Georgia, Clemson.
USC was really good. We did the Big Ten preview. Did you miss that?
No, I'm saying last year USC won like 7 games last year.
USC was really good. They lost to Michigan by 3 points. They were right there with Notre Dame. They were right there.
I'm saying they were like a 7-win team though. So it's
they
we
were
don't remember it.
10 though.
We don't remember it because they weren't a good team. Like Georgia, Oregon was still memorable. Like Georgia, Clemson was memorable. So it's like those games still matter late in the season. Like Florida State beating LSU was like one of their better wins of their undefeated season. So I don't know. I think these games early still matter, and I feel like for seeding purposes too, Oklahoma or Ohio State, Texas, like that Texas Alabama game when it was a non-conference game, like that became one of the biggest games in the college football playoff seeding like that could possibly happen. I think it was a perfect storm for the SEC champion to get left out, but they still put Alabama in there and left Florida State out. But I don't know. I think these big time non-conference games, if teams take care of business, and we're looking at 2 12-1 teams at the end of the year, or 11-1 teams at the end of the year, the head-to-head with Ohio State and Texas could be huge.
We'll see. I'm going to say 10-2 for Texas. So slight over, but I do not think they make the SEC title game, but I do think they make the college football playoff.
All right.
Next up, Matt Green, Texas A&M, 7.5. A lot of people like Texas A&M. A lot of people I feel like I've been reading. They're in on A&M. They're in on Marcel Reed going into next year. I remember a lot of people were really in on Connor Wegman before last season, where it's like, oh, former 5-star, it's going to work. Colin Klein, Mike Elko and company, it's going to be pretty good. Didn't really work out. Now Connor Wegman's
is the Tobias meme like?
Yes.
But it might work for us.
Yes. And right now, they feel like peak Wisconsin to me. Like watching a lot of A&M. We were in the office this past week. Do you remember that A&M Auburn game that went to like 1 billion overtimes last year on the Plains?
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's just one of those. A&M had a really weird year. You go through it and you're like, if you asked a SEC fan, what was A&M's identity last year? I wonder what they would answer. I feel like a lot would be like, good defense. Here's the problem with that. A&M's passing defense was one of the worst in college football last year. They were 95th in pass yards allowed. That passing game still might be really bad. Humphrey transferred in from Georgia, who got benched middle of last year, so he's in there. I don't even think he's projected to start. But the issue wasn't really the offense. Like, they're built to me like peak Wisconsin without the defense. And I'm not buying A&M as this like sleeper college football playoff contender. Like, the defense, I think, still has a lot of problems. Jay Bateman has a lot to prove here in this upcoming year. Like, that was a sneaky. I think Mike Elko is calling plays again on defense, so we'll see what that ultimately does. Colin Klein, good offensive mind, but like Moss and Owens, that two-handed monster, one of the best, most talented for sure on the blue chip side of things for A&M. Marcel Reed, obviously a really gifted runner as well. Like, they're going to be able to run the out of the ball and one of the best running attacks in the SEC next year, not probably all of college football. But the defense and the passing game might stink. And if the passing game's getting lit up again, the offense is going to have a lot more pressure on them. And they're going to have to be in these games where they're going to have to throw the ball. Like, Casey Concepcion is going to have to be a dude. Bussy or Bousset, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, big time player. He's going to have to become a factor on the outside. But there's everyone's looking at the offense, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, Marcel Reed could take a step. Casey Concepcion could be good. The two running backs should be really solid. But the problem was the defense, and Jay Bateman's still the DC, and I don't know if they really fixed it when you look at this defensive line too. Like, I don't know if they're going to really have a great pass rush when I'm looking at that. I don't know. I have a lot of questions about A&M's defense really being all that improved from a year ago, even with Elko calling plays. I don't love it. Like, I'm not buying a lot of the A&M stock this year. They just feel like that peak Paul Chryst Wisconsin teams without the defense of Jim Leonard. Like, they really just need to hire Jim Leonard if they're going to run this style. But I don't see it, Matt Green. I think they are another year or two away from realistically contending. Like, they go to Notre Dame this year. They get Auburn at home. Like, that's good. Florida at home. They get a really good home schedule, but they got to go to LSU, to Texas, to Missouri, South Carolina at home. Like you said, South Carolina has to prove it there. But I'm counting 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 losses. And I still, like, I'm kind of bleh on A&M. And yet, I'm still going to take the over. I think they probably are an 8-4 team. I just don't think they even sniff 10-2 in this college football playoff. So I think the defense is going to have a lot of problems once again, but the schedule is still nice enough for them, especially the home games, that I think they should probably sleepwalk into 8 wins. So I'm going to go over. That 7.5 just seems low, and they do it, but I'm not as optimistic about A&M as other people are, it seems like.
Yeah, I think I always love a year 2 head coach, Mike Elko in year 2. Like, this team, I mean, they were a win versus Texas away from playing for the SEC championship a year ago. Like, I think a lot of people forget that. This team was pretty good with all kind of, they were just very, just, there was so much chaos they had offensively, whether it was Wegman or Marcel Reed. It was just like, there was no consistency offensively a year ago. I don't know what their run defense was. I would have still called them a good defense. So that was surprising that their pass defense was that bad a year ago. Obviously, Noah Thomas, their leading receiver a year ago, is going to be playing for Georgia. That's big. But I think Marcel Reed, I think in year 2, I kind of believe that he's one of these kind of, I don't know, he reminds me of kind of like a Tyrod Taylor a little bit, just that he feels like he's it makes a lot of the exciting plays and also takes care of the ball. So I think I kind of like Marcel Reed to take a next step this year and Texas A&M. And I look at the schedule too, like they absolutely destroyed Florida in the swamp a year ago, and Florida should be improved, but yeah, that to have to come to College Station this year, like I think that's definitely a win on their schedule. Like that Notre Dame game a year ago, it obviously was in College Station, but that was an absolute rock fight, like just a classic, like 3 yards in a cloud of dust type of game. They could easily go into South Bend and beat them this year, and I would not be surprised at all. Like I don't think Notre Dame was that much better than them a year ago, despite obviously a very different win-loss record. But South Carolina comes to College Station. Like I think this team, I don't see more than 4 losses on this schedule personally. I think Texas A&M could be a pretty good team. Maybe not win 9 games, maybe just win 8, but I think they're going to be one of those top 6 or 7 finishing teams in the SEC this year.
I think they have a high floor, low ceiling. That's
I would kind of agree with that. Like I would be surprised if they won double-digit games.
Yeah.
But I almost lock them in to be an 8 or 9 win team.
Yeah. Final one here, Matt Green. Vanderbilt, 4.5. A lot of talking for a team going to run the state with a 4.5 over under to kick off the 2025 college football season. What say you, Matt Green?
That's just because of the haters, man. Man, Diego Pavia, he's confident, man. And maybe that confidence is legit. Out of conference. So when I see a low number like that, the first thing I do is look at someone's out of conference. They played Charleston Southern, GSU, State Not Southern, Virginia Tech and Utah State, at Virginia Tech, I should say. Georgia State beat them a year ago. So that's obviously not a guaranteed win. And then going at Virginia Tech could also be tough, but there's a chance this team goes 4-0 out of conference. And maybe it's Kentucky, maybe it's Auburn, maybe it's Missouri. All those games are at home. I feel like they're going to win a couple games in the SEC this year. So I think even if they go 3-1 out of conference, I think they can still get those 2 SEC wins they need. I think Vanderbilt's just not necessarily the punching bag they once were. Like they're not nearly what they think they are or what they think they can be. But I don't know. They feel like they're becoming a more legitimate football program, it feels like. And I don't know, I saw a picture the other day. Is the stadium completely open? It looked like there was still construction happening, but I think
I know the end zone looks done, right? Like the end zone looks good.
I saw like some sort of orange flags, like look like they were still under construction type stuff, but hopefully that's done and we actually see. Do you know what the capacity is supposed to be now? Is it like 50,000 or something?
No,
they could get in. I mean, what was it before? It was got to be like 35 or something.
I was gonna say I thought it was in the 30s.
So I mean, it's got to be up to like 50, right? What is the?
I'm seeing 40,300.
40,000. Okay, so I mean, it's still not going to be Neyland Stadium or anything, but I don't know. I think Vanderbilt, they could go on the road to beat Virginia Tech, but I don't even if you don't predict that one, I think they can win a couple games in conference this year. So give me the Commodores to go over on this one. Get to a bowl game, the Vanderbilt Commodores.
I mean, they better get to a bowl game because do you know who leads the SEC in returning production this year, Matt Green?
I'm going to guess the Vanderbilt Commodores.
It's the Vanderbilt Commodores. They lead the FBS, 77% returning production, third in FBS, 78% on offense, 77% on defense, 180 starts returning. I mean, starters, I don't know, man. Like, if you're not going to do it this year, then I don't know because Pavia and everybody's gone. But I don't like the schedule at all at Virginia Tech. So I'm trying to find the wins. Charleston Southern at home. And you got to cross off the second half, right? Like you saw Diego Pavia break down in the second half of the year. And if you're going to run the ball 20 times in SEC play as a quarterback, like you're not going to withstand a full season of just hits. And you saw it last year. Like Vanderbilt really fell apart down the stretch. So I think it's not great that the back end of their schedule is the hardest part once again. But they go Charleston Southern at home. I'll give them a win. Virginia Tech on the road, I think it's a toss-up, but I'll give them the win right now. It's 2. At South Carolina, lost 2-1. Georgia State at home, 3-1. And then Utah State at home, 4-1. But that's Bronco Mendenhall. We'll see what he's able to do with the Aggies in year 1. But I'll give Vandy the win there, 4-1. And then you have to find one the rest of the year. At Alabama, no. LSU at home, no. Mizzou, you took them to overtime last year. Still going to go Mizzou there. At Texas, no. Auburn, Diego Pavia, does he do it again?
He does own Auburn.
Does he beat Hugh Freeze one more time? Does he do it again? Does he do it again? I don't know. Kentucky at home, at Tennessee. I tend to agree with you where I think this is a 5-7 team. I think they're going to get one of those, but I don't think it's a great year. I think the second half of the season's pretty depressing if you're a Vandy fan. Like, I think it's going to be another just kind of pulverizing down the stretch type deal, and kind of you go out with a whimper. I don't see it. Like, this schedule is not conducive to 6+ wins in bowling. Like, I don't think this team's going bowling, and just a lot of preseason talk. And like, they return all this production, and then you look at it and you're like, yeah, this team's still winning like 4 or 5 games. So it's like, I don't know. I don't see it. I think Vandy's going to be one of the worst teams in the SEC this year.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to be near the bottom, but I think they could still be a bowl game, a bowl team. I think there was only
they're going to need an upset there, though.
There would only 2 or 3 miss a bowl, I think, a year ago. But yeah, I mean, I think they're a better team than Kentucky, honestly. So I wouldn't be surprised at all if they beat Kentucky. And
I mean, if you give them Kentucky, that's 5. Oh, that's 4 if you give them Kentucky.
If they lose like Virginia Tech, I guess you're saying.
Yes.
Yeah, so they would have to win a second one if they lose to Virginia Tech. And I mean, Missouri, Auburn, I mean, LSU, who knows? Who knows? They just beat Alabama at home last year. Like, who knows with it?
Maybe it strikes twice, but there's a whole year of film on this now too.
Yeah.
All these SEC teams have a whole year of film on this offense.
And they did play Texas close. It was a couple weeks after the Alabama game, right? That was was that a 1-score game a year ago? It was like 36-30 or something like that, I want to say.
Yeah.
Am I wrong about that? 27-24 they lost to Texas. So I mean, who knows? Who knows going into First Bank Stadium? I don't
was that an Arch game?
So. Okay. I'm not 100% sure.
Final thing here on the SEC, Matt Green. So give me your SEC title game prediction and winner.
This was tough, man. I was going through my over-unders and kind of seeing like, well, if I win this many wins, who did I have to pick at the top? And I think I really have only 2 options. There's only 2 teams at that 9.5 win total that I went over on. And that is the Georgia Bulldogs and the Texas Longhorns. So I think we're going to get Georgia, Texas part 4 here in just a 2-year span. Who knows? Maybe who knows who wins the first one? But I think both teams still win multiple games or double-digit games. And I hate to do it, but I think I'm going to do it. And Georgia finds a way because Georgia just owns the state of Texas, and the Dogs win another SEC title. I don't know. I don't feel great about Georgia right now. But then with how everything's shaken out, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling better because once we break down everyone else, it's like everyone's got their challenges this year. I don't know. That's so I don't love it, but I think I'm going to go with a repeat of last year, Georgia over Texas.
Interesting. I have Georgia in it, but I have Alabama in it. I think Bama beats Georgia twice this year and beats them again in the SEC title game, but both make the playoff. I have Bama winning. I'm going to hold it off on my final Bama prediction here, but yes, I have Bama getting in and going 10-2, 11-1, probably 11-1. Georgia getting in, maybe 11-1, 10-2, and Bama beating Georgia twice in the regular season SEC title.
That'd be rough if Kalen DeBoer starts 3-0 versus Kirby.
He did it 2 years ago. You remember, people kept predicting Kalen DeBoer to lose to Oregon, beat him regular season, then beat him again in the Pac-12 title game.
It's true.
I think he does it again.
Dan Lanning's not Kirby, though.
He's up there. There's a lot of similarities between Dan Lanning and Kirby Smart.
He wishes.
I don't know.
No, there is.
I mean, you loved it.
Kirby taught him everything he knows.
Yeah. All right, Matt Green. Well, what do you want to plug here before we wrap up here on this fine Sunday evening, sir?
Just tune in Monday nights live at 7:00 for Georgia Voice of College Football. We are going to keep our countdown going. We if you're listening to this, of course, on Monday, so it'll be tonight at 7:00. We are 12 days till the college football season truly starts. That the very first Saturday of week 1. So we'll keep that countdown going. But yeah, tune in 7:00 live, Georgia Voice of College Football.
There you go. For all the Georgia folks, make sure you go subscribe and check out Matt there on the Georgia Voice of College Football. Don't forget, if you enjoyed today's episode and you're not already, make sure you hit that subscribe button on YouTube if you're watching us there, or on your preferred podcast player. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, make sure that you leave this show a 5-star rating and write a review. Helps other people find the show, and it helps this very show to continue to grow a little bit more each and every day. Go check us out at chasethomaspodcast.com. And make sure you're subscribed and you like this video, and comment below and let us know what you think of today's episode on our YouTube feed. Well over 2,500 subs, growing more and more each and every day right here on the Chase Thomas Podcast YouTube channel. So make sure if you want to watch us on the video front, you can do so and join the conversation there. And there's all kinds of other great ways. Read me, sportsrenaissanceman.com. Listen to me on the radio, back on Fox Sports Knoxville, Fan Run Sports Radio tomorrow, 1 to 3 today with folks listening on Monday. So check us out on this Monday with William Pattison in studio with us, talking quarterback 1 with Joey Aguilar, official, and a whole lot more Tennessee talk. So all kinds of different ways you can be a part of the show and everything we're doing here on A Pod Divided, Vols versus Dogs. We're back as we do our big week 0 1-game preview, but also all of our big predictions and hot takes here on our Wednesday night, Thursday morning show. So look out for that in your podcast YouTube feed on Thursday. Matt Green, always a pleasure, my friend, and I will talk to you again in a couple days.
Yes, sir.
Nicely done, nephew. The Chase Thomas Podcast. Hell yeah.